So it's a lot like Windows security. You know, if you're at all familiar with Windows security, it's really, really similar.
Yeah. Seems
Uh,
pretty simple to just yeah turn it
yeah,
on and
the
off.
one, it's usually pretty static once you get it set up. There
Hmm.
are a lot of options. Um, I don't, if one of the Zacks remembers off the top of their head, uh, you know, there's 500 or 600 different options. So all
Oh,
of the options, getting all of the options right for all of the groups can be a little, but you, like I said, it's usually an upfront task. When we get you
Mhm.
set up, then you just run with it for as long as you use Inventory Pro.
And additionally, we
Um,
can help with that setup. It is a bit complicated.
right,
right.
right,
So basically, these are just looking at it looks like every screen that's available.
right.
You're
Has
limiting
permissions
this to.
Generally.
associated. Yeah. I wouldn't say screen, I would say more like groups of screens. You
Okay.
know, yeah, we have shipping orders, which is one of the things you talked about, you know, being able to enter a sales order. And we have
Yeah,
purchase.
some of the permissions go to like a module as a whole. Some of the permissions go to different actions in that module. So, for
Right.
example, whether somebody's able to return stock or not, things like that. So, some of it's very fine grained. Some of it is very high level. It just varies depending on what it is.
Okay.
So jumping back over, I'm looking at your email that you sent.
Hmm.
Scroll down a little bit. It's a little bit out of sequence. Uh, so initially you asked about the ability to enter sales orders. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's really two, well, there's multiple ways to do this, but I'm going to show you. We have what we call a shipping order is uh, our basic sales order. And I think that there's two primary ways to do it. One is through the quick order screen, and this can actually be a customer facing screen. Okay, so it's not an
Okay.
e-commerce screen. There's no commerce behind it, um, but you can give this screen to a customer and let them put their own order in. Now I have no idea if that would really apply to you or not. Uh,
Yeah, probably not. I could see it being used by
your customer service people might be able to use it.
yeah, or like our front end staff
Right.
could use this for
Right.
various things.
So basically, if a customer was to log in, it would associate them with a warehouse and they're shipped to automatically.
Right.
Uh, but so these are, you know, somebody in your staff could come in and say which warehouse they're going to pull the order from, and then who the customer is. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just picking the top, you know, two things. And the other thing I'll say about the screen is, and all of our screens, is there's generally multiple ways to view each screen. Um, so if I pick this one, you'll see the grid change. Well, you might not actually notice, but um, these are just different representations of the same screen that people wanted to see. Um,
Okay.
all right. So if you say you didn't want to show anybody the cost, we could get rid of that column for you.
Hmm.
Um, so in order to enter an order, you could just say I need 5 of those and 3 of these and 2 of these. Save it. It brings those items up to the top of the list. Um, review it, and then place the order.
Okay.
And that's all there is. That's how quickly you can place an order, okay?
Hmm.
So what it does is it creates a shipping order. Um, and you'll notice on the screens here there's a lot of similarity. as we move around. So this is the header of the order. If I preview the order, this is what the document, well, one of the documents that goes with the order looks like. It's not like move it up. I'll just scroll it down. Okay. So it's kind of like, this is the packing list for the order.
Okay.
You can go to the line items, and if you needed to add, remove, or change, you can edit the items here. You can put pictures of the items. This can be helpful, obviously, for people to recognize that they're ordering the right thing, and for the warehouse people to also pick properly.
Right.
We do have an invoice. You said you were doing everything on paper now. Do you have an accounting system at all that where you're generating invoices, or?
We do, yeah. We have QuickBooks for our
Okay.
invoicing, but so it's a bit of a weird system we have here. For invoicing, we have QuickBooks, but it's strictly for the invoicing. Everything else is done. It's on a separate computer that can't access any networks, and so there's a bit of a technophobe issue there.
Yeah, right.
So right now, integration with any accounting is kind of not needed.
Okay.
I don't know what sort of.
We do have a QuickBooks interface, so.
Okay.
But we can move that. And how do you ship items? Do you ship them via like truck, UPS, FedEx?
So basically, we supply and install all of our products, basically. So
you're using your own local trucks?
Yeah, we're sending a truck out with installers, and so
all right.
Yeah, that's kind of how that goes.
Okay, so yeah, tracking numbers for you are not going to really apply.
No.
Okay, so the other way to enter an order is to just create a shipping order. And this is although not a lot different, just a different interface to generating that same thing. So there's only two required fields on the header: the warehouse you're pulling from. I'll just pick a different one, and where you're going to ship. And if it's a new customer, anything that's on the left here and looks like a link is a link. So if you click on Ship To, it'll take you into the customer list. All right. What just happened here? Where did I go?
What are you trying to do, Ben?
Well, I thought that link was taking me to that Ship To link. Oh, it is. It did take you.
It did. It took you there.
Sorry, guys. So this would be a customer record. So to get a list, you just click over here, and it shows you all your customers.
Right.
And you can create a new customer by just clicking Create New, and then I shouldn't use acronym because we've got those everywhere. Ace Kitchens. All right. Put in whatever fields you got. So that's all there is to making a new customer.
Okay.
Kind of the heart of the system is the item master list. This is where you actually have your items. Now, are you doing all custom kitchen stuff?
Yeah. So our inventory, we have limited inventory. Everything is brought in for each job.
Yeah, it's made to
So it
order.
is, having this item master list, like that's obviously something we need, and tracking what we do have. But it is. So I've been researching a lot of software like this, and it does all kind of seem to be geared towards sort of a warehouse where you have, numerous
Right.
items in stock, whatever. I mean, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to work. This will do what we need it to do. So I'm just looking at. Just have a big list here.
So you need
Zach,
you need a bill of materials and work orders probably.
possibly. So there is something of that nature in your software, correct?
Yep,
Okay.
that's fine.
We're not 100% sure how we would implement something like this. We have a system for our production that works. Again, not a software system, but we have a system that's in place for our production. Right now, we're really focusing on the inventory and the ordering and streamlining that. So,
How do you do it? Is it through Excel?
For which, sorry?
Well, the system you have in place now, how are you doing it?
For our production and
Right.
that sort of thing. We have, again, it's just sort of a physical thing with magnets.
Okay,
and
just
boards
pen and paper.
things. Yeah.
We have done some projects in the past for clients that work primarily in manufacturing. I have a client that does screen printing, just on all sorts of different items and such. And the way that they use the system is they'll create a work order in the system, for whatever job they need to do for a customer. And, they'll actually have their people out in the warehouse use their phones to track their time on that work order. So they can say, okay, I produced, 200 of this item today, or I did this today, and associate it back to a production code. So they can actually kind of get some of their time entry stuff into the system as well, and time tracking. That's probably a little bit too, at least starting out, that's probably a little bit too, fine grained, but we have worked with clients to do some of these custom systems in the past, or, just get a workflow in place that, is a lot faster for you and, lets you get this stuff out the door and, simplify your paperwork.
Zach, are you on a screen? Can you see a screen?
I can't at the moment. I'm still trying to get everything turned back on.
I can see. I don't think mission's a good idea. Test mission's a good idea to use since we were recently updating them. So I don't think the reports are working at the moment.
Yeah, you'd probably have to use the live server. I did a bunch of changes on their system last week.
Okay. Well, this is the system we were talking about, and I'm not very good at showing it, so I don't even know where to go here to look. Yeah, here's the production codes for all their different manufacturing steps.
Okay.
Zach, where would I go to see their production? Is it under reports?
I think there's, I think it's called the timesheet in the menu, under orders. That's primarily where they'll look at their production numbers and, they can review their downtime codes versus their uptime codes. So in their process, there's a lot of downtime waiting for, things to be, you have to have the printer to mix the ink, and things like that. So, they're just trying to track where the slowdowns in their production are using the system and try to optimize it basically.
Okay.
So, here we go. This screen is pretty small. You might not even be able to see it. And so it's showing the employee and what all of their different time, what they spent their time on during the day. So it's really kind of a cost accounting thing. How much they spent on each job, how much time they spent on each job.
And they tie it back into the work orders to, just consume the inventory, the raw materials basically as they produce the job.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the work.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's definitely something that we need, and we've looked into things for our production side as well, and never found anything that fits exactly what we want. Our GM has a system that handles everything that works. It's just not digital. So ideally it would be, but yeah.
So these guys are, just so you know, they're screen printers. So they're doing a lot of printing on glass and bottles. They're not necessarily. They also do T-shirts, but their specialty is really bottles. They perfected screen printing on round objects. So, this one they're doing 5,000 of these 750 millimeter. 750 mil. It sounds like a wine bottle to me. Anyways, and that's kind of where I come into. We will customize it to meet your need. So you kind of grow into the system and change it as you go.
Okay.
So if I go back to our default system, just trying to figure out what to show you best. Maybe I should turn this over to Zach Schneider so he can show you the jobs. Can you show us the job stuff you just did, Zach?
Yeah, sure. You'll have to give me the screen share though. I'll have to use my test site.
The other thing we can do, Ian, is we can give you a development site that's all, it's isolated to just you. And we can give you, the ability to use the software and see if it'll work for you.
Right.
Really do some real testing with it.
Yeah,
Right,
I
can you see my
did
screen?
play around a little bit with the demo, and it does at least seem like it's on the right track for what we need. But not being 100% familiar with it.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to ask us questions. We can do some training sessions with you. Just as you have questions, just fire them off.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's a couple of sort of big things that we need in the software. So what I want to be able to do is enter a job, so it would be a shipping order, and enter in all the items for that order, and then obviously pull those things from any stock that we have, and then create purchase orders based on what we need, which I think I've done in the demo. So I guess first question would be, if I'm creating 4 different shipping orders, it will then give me the ability to create purchase orders that include items from all of those jobs.
Yes, We do have a restocking purchase order utility. So essentially what you can do is if you set up your shipping orders and you enter them into the system, you can then go over to this restocking utility. And, since you now have some orders that may or may not, for the different items be, going over the amount of stock that you have available, you can use that utility to suggest new purchase orders to basically fulfill those different shipping orders you've created.
Right.
So we have a number of clients that use that type of process to, just automatically restock their main warehouse up to a certain inventory level. So if you want to keep, let's say 4 or 5 in stock of something, or, some clients it's hundreds, you can easily, kind of track that and automatically reorder stuff by going to that screen.
So even if my my minimum quantity was 0, because ideally we don't want to have we don't want to have stock of everything. Just the nature of some of our stuff is something gets discontinued, and now we have something that we can't sell. So we try and limit it to not a lot of things. There are a few items that will have minimum numbers, but most of our things will have a 0. Well, I shouldn't say most. There will be a lot of things that have a 0 minimum, but then when an order comes in, this
the system will detect that it's that you've got more stock committed than you have available. So it'll suggest that you make an order.
Okay, so then if I have, say I have 3 shipping orders with common items. In our case, it would be like cabinet door pulls. So if we had 3 jobs that have the same pulls, now most of the softwares that I've tested out don't really have the ability to differentiate between those 3 jobs on a single purchase order, if that makes sense. I want my purchase order to say that I need 12 for this job and 12 for this other job and 4 for the third job right on the purchase order, because what happens is that our vendors tag the items before they leave their warehouses. So when they come to us, we put them away based on that tag.
Understood. Currently, we actually have another client with the same request for the ability to assign individual lines on a purchase order to different jobs. So we are currently working on that for another client. For you here, we could customize the restocking utility to automatically just split those items out into separate lines and assign them to the jobs for you. Normally what it would do is it would just create one line item on the PO for everything that was needed, but it shouldn't be too hard to make it specific and pull that job number from the shipping order.
Right. Yeah, and so in the other systems that I've tested out, it involves going in and manually entering notes for each line item, but if it's the same item, there's only one line, so it's hard to, and we want to automate it as much as possible. I don't want to have to go into each line item on a purchase order and then tag it with the number, because I might as well be writing it out at that point.
Yeah, that gets messy.
I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but I like the automation. That's trying to take the human error out of it and stuff, right? So, so that is something that's sort of, it seems possible, anyways.
Yeah, that's something we should be able to do. I don't see any problem.
If you look on the screen now, we have been baking in the functionality to add a certain job to each purchase order line. So I'll add a new line here. And as you can see, you can differentiate the different job that you're working on between one purchase order.
Okay.
And we do allow the same item ID multiple times on the same PO.
Okay. So yeah, the ability to have the software do that for us would be kind of key, just because that's one less step on our end, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so if that's possible, that's good.
That's your.
Just going through my list of things here. Okay, so receiving. I think I did test out just receiving items, but I don't know if you want to just quickly go through that. Like, it would all be based on particular purchase orders, I guess.
Yeah, Zach asked if you just want to receive a PO.
Oh, just do a PO? Sure.
Yeah, just receive a PO you've got in there.
Oh, an existing one? Sure. All right, so all you need to do, oops, I picked the bad one to do. So all you need to do to receive a purchase order is we will create a quick purchase order, nice and easy, $50. Let's make it 2 units, just so I can do a partial receive. So you're going to click receive right over here.
Okay.
And this will bring you to the receiving grid. Now, there's two things that can happen when you click that receive button. If there's already something on the receiving grid, it will give you a little error pop-up saying there's already something there. I'll show you that right now. Basically, there can only be one thing that's receiving at a time, but it's like a queue. So we can put what we were doing on hold by clicking close it and do this new order. Or we can go back to what we were doing a second ago by clicking receive stock page right here. So we can either start up the thing we were doing before or go into the new one by clicking close it. So it really doesn't matter in this case since they're both the same order. So this is the receiving grid. Now say you only got one of the 2 items you're receiving here. You have the option to change the number of units here. And now when we receive, it'll do a partial receive and only receive one of the 2 items. But there's a catch. When you click receive, it'll bring up this message saying, would you like to complete the order? Or if it's a partial order, click cancel. So since we're doing a partial receive, we're going to click cancel instead of OK, which will leave our order open.
Okay.
Oh, we need a serial number for this. So
if we are actually receiving all of the items, will that still pop up?
Yes, it'll just be an OK.
Mm-hmm.
So I changed it to a full receive now. So this will fully receive the item.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think you need a serial number for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gotcha on our test site. Is we have serial numbers turned on for some of these, so you have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta jump through some hoops sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes there are little bugs that you'll find on the test sites.
Yeah.
And then when it's fully received, you can go. Oops, sorry. Go on.
Oh no, you go ahead.
So when you go to one of these order screens, it'll basically split things up into different statuses. It'll show current by default, which are things that are still in process, and then completed are the ones that you've already finished. So when you fully receive something, you can go right here to view these things.
Okay.
Were you about to say something then?
Yeah, so I was just going to go back to the POs. I'm going to jump around a little because things keep coming to my brain here. But
Sure.
So on a PO, you are able to enter like an ETA. Is that something? I see requested date. I guess that would be sort of the date that we expect it to come.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just looking here. We have a lot of at least lately, we're getting a lot of back orders. So parts of our purchase orders are not coming into us until a couple weeks after the first items. So we just need a way that we can. I guess we would just update that date
Mm-hmm.
for
That
the items that are not received yet.
Yeah, this date can be changed at any point.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so, go ahead.
Then you can, for example, I'll do another example receive. So we'll do 10 of these units. That'll set automatically because we have it set to 1 case of 10. And then we'll do maybe 10 of these as well, sure. What you're saying is basically a partial receive. So if you receive part of an order, it'll keep track of that. So when we do a partial receive, the received portion over here will fill in. So
Okay.
So that'll be used to keep track of those units that are coming in at different times. So say you got only 3 of these and 7 of these, you can keep track of that.
We also have a module called delivery schedule as well. We don't have a lot of clients use it, but essentially it's a way to mark down when you're receiving each different part of the order. A little bit complicated. It might be a little bit more involved than what you need, but it is something that is available in the system.
Yep. So you can say the dates that it arrived, the expected date, the number of units that are expecting to arrive, and the actual units that end up arriving. And you can add an unlimited number of notes to this. And you can specify which item it is as well. So you can say 5, oops, that was weird. You can say 5 of these units came in, these units were damaged, for example, on arrival. Or you can put anything you want in these delivery notes. They're totally free form. And they have a good amount of space to type as well.
Okay.
And then we have a report for this as well.
Okay. So another one of our important items is the ability to look up by, I guess it would be to look up a shipping order to find out when we expect the items to arrive for that.
Mm-hmm. We have that as well.
And then I don't know, so because we would have potentially numerous vendors for each job with different lead times and different delivery dates, basically I need to know when the last item will arrive here.
Okay, so you do you're basically doing partial shipping orders as well, correct? That's what you're saying?
Well, a shipping order would have items from multiple suppliers.
Mm-hmm. So you could have a single shipping order that is waiting on 3 or 4 purchase orders to complete until
Correct.
Until you can actually get that sent out.
Yeah.
That's,
really, all I need,
might have
all
to
I
tweak
need
a
is
report.
a way.
Right.
I just need a way to go to the shipping order and see all of the purchase orders and the dates that we expect those items on the shipping orders.
That sounds like and this is just what I interpret. We could attach all of those to a single job, and then through that job, you can view all the shipping and purchase orders attached to that job.
Right. It would be a new report.
Mm-hmm. We have that report already, actually. It's already in the system.
Yeah, so if there's a report for that, then that's exactly.
Yeah, we might need to tweak it to just to show you that last expected date.
Yep.
But I think it'll be close.
Okay, and then obviously, well, yeah, we've already sort of seen that with the receiving. We'll be able to see what's here, what's not. So
Yep. Let me attach.
You
So
go
this
back to
order.
that, just go back to that screen.
Which screen?
The one you were just on. You're going so fast. I mean.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to get to the jobs order report.
Yeah, I thought you had it.
Oh no, I'm on it now. It's right here. So this, I was just filtering through. So this is a list of all the jobs in the system currently. And through this select box up here, you can select which job you'd like to select. So currently there are a bunch of junk ones in here from testing, but this is the only existing job at the time, the one we just created. I could attach this to any number of things in the system, from work orders to shipping orders to purchase orders, repair orders. There's a lot that this is going to be attached to. And this will basically track the number of the job, the order number. So it might be a purchase order number, a shipping order number. This job number could also be it's always going to be the same job number for every job. The status of that item, the quantity, and the amount. And you said for your purposes you just want a date. We can simply add that onto the back here.
Okay.
So that would be almost no problem at all to add on.
Okay. So the next one on my list is I think you do have lot numbers and serial numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So that kind of that's sort of
Yeah, you can apply those on the item master list. We have a little pencil here. When you click this, it'll bring up all of the attributes of this item. Now, it doesn't look like there's many item attributes currently, but these all down here are actually drop downs. Instead of on the left, we keep them at the bottom. There's about 80 options total, and it's kind of overwhelming to see them all at once. So you can see down here we have one for assemblies and serializing.
Okay.
And you can see there are numerous settings for this.
Okay.
So you can apply a serial number, and then this item will now be a serialized item from now on.
Okay. And then that you assign the serial number when you receive.
Exactly.
Okay.
The other thing you can do, Ian, is when you're making items like your kitchens, you can have the attribute of the item that you're making also be serialized. So when you're creating items, you can put a serial number on them. I don't know if you ever want to track them, but
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's almost like a job number. You can almost put the job number as a lot number on each item you make.
Okay. So the next thing would be so this one gets a little bit complicated on our end. So when we order for our jobs, we have all manner of items, but I would like a report that that sort of filters out certain items. So I don't know if you have like categories that you can filter out, or some other people call them like classes of items. Just what it would be is like we would order 10 sheets of plywood and 20 handles and a garbage can pull out, and then at the end that packing list doesn't need to show those pieces of plywood or a lot of our materials because they've already been used. So I just want the accessories, would be kind of what I would call them, to show on a list so that when we're packing the job up, it's just a short list of 2 or 3 items instead of every single item that we ordered for the job, which has already been used up.
Mm-hmm. So we do have categories that can be attached to every item. I think I'm having a little bit of a hard time understanding what you want to use it for. You said you wanted it to show up as a short list on a job list, right? And exclude certain items of a category?
Yeah.
Okay, so he wants to just filter by category.
Right.
Yeah, we can do that.
You can also do it. There's a center code field right below it, so you could, there's a couple of different options here. You could also use the center codes as a filter. We have lots of different filters.
Yeah.
Okay. So the center code then,
you can rename the field. So even though we call it center code, you could call it something else.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. And then how do you deal with if we are returning items to our suppliers? Is that just like a negative purchase order, or is there a specific?
Is that the PO?
Yep, we have PO returns and PO corrections.
Yes.
Okay.
Zach, would you mind taking over for PO returns? Because I'm still a little iffy on that section.
Uh,
Except you can't because
Sure,
the PC
well.
doesn't.
Oh, its VC's not working.
I mean,
I'll give it a
it's like
try.
half.
That's all right.
Yeah, so if you just go into one, it's pretty much just a, you have to find a complete one. You might have to take out your job filter that you have at the top.
Mhm. I don't think I have any on mine, so I'm going to use yours.
Mhm.
All right, so I have a complete PO.
It has to still be open though. So we need one that has stock received against it that is open. You can always reopen one of those.
This one?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, so here we have a.
So the thing with the returns process is if the stock has already been consumed, it won't let you return it. So it looks like that's what has happened here. But if you click on corrections as well, Zach, yeah, there's just the stock has been gotten rid of. Yeah, so just run a PO through and receive some stock, and don't close it, and we'll be able to use that.
Sure.
Basically, what the system will do is it will look in the inventory to see, exactly where that item is at, if it's still here, because obviously we don't want you to return it if it's already been consumed. But you can just run a negative adjustment back against the purchase order using the system here, and we have a special adjustment code that'll show up in the logs for that called purchase order returns or purchase order corrections if it's using that other screen.
Okay. So if I had, just for the sake of simplifying it, if I had a customer return an item,
Mm-hmm.
Will that allow me to then return that item?
Yeah, as long as it's in the inventory, you should be able to return it. You can do shipping order returns as well. So you would probably have to run the return twice to get it, once for the shipping order, once for the purchase order, to get it back to the vendor.
Right. Yeah.
A little messy, but it's one of those things. We might be able to smooth out that for you.
It makes sense on our end too, because we need the paper trail for the return here, and then we need to return it. So that
Mm-hmm.
it's a couple of steps, but right now it's like 6 steps. So
yeah, that's a bit much.
So that covers all of my little things. I would be interested to. You mentioned just sort of like a test area. I know there's the demo.
Yeah, sure.
It's just kind of full of other data. Do you have just like an empty?
Yeah, we can set up a demo site for you and clear out the database. And then we do have import sheets. So if you wanted to just make up a quick list of 5 or 10 items and import them into the empty system, should be able to do some testing with that and playing around.
And you can import just from like an Excel spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
Basically?
Yep, right within the system, there's actually an import utility, and we can assist you with it as well.
Yeah. Okay. We don't actually.
Zach, you want to open up the import screen?
Anything to do that?
Sure.
I'm just thinking, for the sake of speeding up the process of entering items, we would create a spreadsheet to import.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of our clients actually do all of their do a lot of their work just through Excel in terms of just to speed up their process. If they have to enter in a lot of POs that they're getting from clients, sometimes they'll just use the import utility instead of typing it in manually.
Yeah.
So
okay, here's another one too. As far as importing, I'm just looking at the screen you have there. Like, you can import a lot of things, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all you have to do is meet this this spreadsheet we have here. You have to just fill it in. So you have to delete the top 3 lines, and then from here, all you have to do is just go line by line and enter in all you need. You don't have to enter everything, just the necessary fields, which I think are warehouse, item ID, and description. Or no, not description. Warehouse, item ID, I think are the only 2 for this screen. And you can just go, some people do like 500,000 items at a time. You can set the number of stock that you take in.
Okay. Okay, so as an extension of that, We have a software that we use when we design our kitchens and prepare them for production, and it outputs it's not a CSV, but it's like it's tab delimited, I guess would be the word. It just has columns, but it's just a plain text file. So can you import something like that to a shipping order?
We should be able to. We might have to make a custom import for it. Otherwise, on your end, if you wanted to, just convert that over to an Excel beforehand, we could run that way as well. But we do have some utilities that are designed to read a CSV file and import that. So we'd have to tweak them to, focus on the tabs instead of, the commas and such. But
yeah,
it's
that
something
one's a little
that
bit.
should be doable.
It's a little bit iffy on our end too, because we're on the verge of changing our software. So I'm not sure what the new software offers us in that respect. So that would be something we'd have to look at. Even manually entering each item is going to be a time savings for us on this end, because we're not physically writing it down. And once we have all our items entered, it's pretty much just clicking and picking the right items. So, so I think that covers all of my questions. I'm just I have a list of things that are important from our management side, but I think we've covered all of it. So yeah, I would like to see how a test, just kind of give a little test run with an empty system, just to kind of take a look, and then I can present that on our end, because I'm not the only one making the decision. So
no problem.
Oh, a couple other things now. As far as the reports, you've mentioned a few times that they're, you can customize them. Is that something that we can do as well, or would we have to get you to do the?
You can get somebody on your end to do it. If they know how a SQL database works, they should be able to work with it. Generally, our report system is just it's just a definition of a database query. Okay, and you can come in and modify those definitions if you're set up in the system as administrator and you've got the right permissions. Yeah, it does require a little bit of knowledge on on just how databases work, and it's more difficult, obviously, because you guys wouldn't know, everything that's there. But you should be able to come in and find something close, is normally what I suggest to clients, and then, try to tweak that to what you need.
Yeah, that's probably where we would go with it, is just copy an existing one and edit from there. So then, if we were hosting the software ourselves, I was looking at, I think in your pricing you have support like per year.
Yeah, if you're hosting it yourself, it's you pay 20% basically of the license fee. So if you bought a 3-user system, which would be $3,000, you'd pay $600 a year for support.
Okay. And just because I kind of know how things can go around here, and we've been burned by this before, where we've had software and we pay for support, and then we decide, you know what, we don't need to pay for support, and then
it's optional. You don't have to pay for it every year.
So then something comes up later, and we do need support now, and then there's a big deal from our software vendors because we stopped paying for support and now we need support. And so
It's just
if
by
we-
the hour. You know, we would charge you by
Okay.
the hour.
Yeah,
okay.
we've actually had
We,
systems go 10 years. Actually, we had a recent one. They went 10 years without contacting us, and you know, it's one of those when the system gets set up and gets running good, you know, it can run for a long time, no problems. So.
Okay. I know that that's a concern from some of my higher ups is a lot of the software, you know, a lot of the stuff that I've looked at doesn't have an on-site option. It's all cloud-based, and that kind of
Now the problem you do run into with the on-site solution is you are responsible for, you know, running the server, basically making sure backups
Correct,
are going,
yeah.
things like that. So
yeah.
not all of our clients really remember to take care of backups and stuff. So we've had you know.
Yeah, and I think we're comfortable on that side of things.
Okay.
'Cause, yeah, we have some different servers for different things here. So, okay. Yeah, I think that kind of covers things for us. I'm a little bit interested in a little more on the with like work orders and that production side of things. I don't know if even just a little overview of what that looks like.
Yeah, we can give you a run through that. I think first thing we'll do is we'll get the demo site set up for you this afternoon, and we'll get you
Sure.
playing in it, and you know, start testing on there. And you know, after that, feel free to contact us, and either Zach S or myself can get on the line and you know, help you and walk you through some of the steps there.
And
Absolutely.
it's all, I mean, that's all included in it anyways, right? So it's not like
Right.
we would have to.
It's not a special module. No, you get it all.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So if we can get that test site up and we can take a look at that, then I think it's looking pretty good as far as I can tell right now. It's one of those things though, if I start to use it, I'll see where we might struggle, or I might see where we're doing really good. So yeah. So far, this is most promising in terms of what the software offers and what we need. So I'm liking it.
Great. We'll set it up, and then we'll just keep, you know, as you have questions and stuff, just fire away and call.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yep. We'll send you an email later this afternoon with the login stuff.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I appreciate your time walking me through it,
Absolutely.
and look forward to
Absolutely.
taking a deeper look here.
Perfect.
Okay.
Talk to you, sir.
Okay. Have a great day.
Bye.
You too. Bye.